Hello and welcome to Getting Our Reward Heads Together. Reward Heads is a boutique consultancy creating bespoke solutions for our clients, but we'll tell you more about that after the episode. For now, let's get started. I'm Victoria Milford, CEO of Reward Heads, and today I'm joined by Senior Consulting Manager Jannine Smith, and we're exploring something that's changing fast across the workplace, how work patterns are reshaping what employees expect from reward.
Hi everyone, and hi Victoria. This is such a timely topic because work itself has changed so much. People are working differently, thinking differently about things like time, flexibility and work-life balance. And reward expectations are changing with it.
Exactly. And there is a clear tension, isn't there? We're seeing big name employers asking or even demanding that employees are in the office much of the time. And you can debate what's driving that and whether it's appropriate. I know that we feel that it's very narrow thinking. In fact, for years, reward was often thought of quite narrowly as well, wasn't it? Salary, bonus, maybe benefits. But now employees are looking at the whole package much more broadly. And they want to understand not just what they're paid, but how work fits into their lives. And we know there's recent legislation on flexible working requests, and that's definitely led to demand going up.
That's right. And the shift is huge. In fact, picking up on that point about flexible working requests, a client I was recently speaking to has increased the days they want their employees in the office from 2 days to 4 days. And the outcome of that is one of their completely critical teams in IT and data have every single member of the team has submitted flexible working requests. So they're now got the time and energy to go through all of that and respond to it all.
That's mad, isn't it? And there's a tension there with obviously what's going on legislatively. It's not a choice that they can make. That's really interesting. So, work patterns really are no longer one size fits all, are they? Some people want the freedom over when they work, some want predictability, some value location flexibility, others have focused on caring responsibilities or well-being or job security. We're all different and we all have different needs, and reward has got to reflect that reality.
Yep, so let's start with the big question then. How are work patterns changing reward expectations?
I think there are probably 4 big shifts. So the first one is employees are expecting greater flexibility, not just where they work, but often how work is structured. Secondly, they expect fairness, and they're more likely to question whether reward systems still make sense if they don't reflect the way people actually work and what their needs are. I think thirdly, they want personalisation because different groups value different things. And fourth, they want transparency, especially when reward decisions feel less visible, especially I think if, an organisation is quite dispersed or has hybrid working.
Absolutely. And I think the flexibility point is particularly important. If someone's delivering excellent work, but maybe on different hours, perhaps in a different location, or even on just a diverse or different work pattern, they're likely to still expect the same opportunities to progress, same opportunities of being recognised and being rewarded fairly. But is this visible and really practical? In fact, in the news recently, there was a proven study saying that males who were working remotely are less likely to be promoted.
Yeah, that's disappointing, to say the least, isn't it? It's particularly as we all work remotely at Reward Heads and we know it works beautifully. I think it's hybrid that's difficult actually there. I think employers can sometimes unintentionally create a 2-tier experience. So if visibility drives recognition, which often it does, doesn't it? A senior person has seen something that someone's done, then those who are physically present more often can get more attention. Or if progression is linked to, a traditional full-time pattern, people who are working differently may feel disadvantaged.
Yes, which is why reward can't just sit in a vacuum. It has to be connected to things like your workforce design, job design, performance management, and your organisational culture.
Exactly. And I love an analogy. So if the way that people work has changed, but the way that people are rewarded is still designed for a different era, it's a bit like using a paper map in a city that's now got like one-way systems and cycle lanes and new roads since those maps were created. You might get there eventually, but not efficiently, and probably with a few wrong turns and a bit of swearing.
Definitely. And we've had clients recognizing that. For example, I had a client who asked us to help with a review of their pay policy where they wanted to offer personalisation with a choice of hybrid and remote working, but they wanted us to look at things in terms of pay, regional allowances, etc. They really wish to be able to give that sort of overall choice and personalisation and allow people the opportunity to have a choice between either remote working from home or a hybrid opportunity where the expectation was that 50% of the time would be spent in the London office. So they asked us just to help in defining a fair pay structure, recognising both hybrid employees, what they might expect, for example, in terms of perhaps an element of London weighting. Whereas maybe the home workers had an expectation that there would be some sort of contribution towards their utility costs, for example.
Well, that sounds like good proactive stuff that everyone should be thinking about.
Yeah, and I had another client recently complete a bit of a holistic review of their total reward alongside gathering some employee insight and understanding what employees valued. And one of the top employee concerns was cost of living. The business itself didn't really want to set a precedence in paying any sort of cost of living allowance. So instead, the proposal is that for a temporary adjustment to their hybrid working policy and for a 6-month period, instead of expecting every employee in the office for 3 days a week, they reduced it to 2 days to help employees save travel costs, their commuting costs.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what we've seen recently is almost the opposite, that I'm hearing people are choosing to go into the office when it's really hot because it's got air conditioning, but it's about being able to make that choice, that sensible choice for yourself. And I know that whole personalisation point has been a big one for you with clients, hasn't it? Especially when they're looking at reviewing their benefits.
Yes, and I'm probably speaking to more and more clients who are looking at ways to offer more choice in benefits, particularly when they've got different ways of working, and whether that's hours patterns, locations, etc. For example, I worked with one client who was really looking for a PMI solution that embraced their culture of allowing work from anywhere. And the work from anywhere actually included options to work internationally for short periods as well. But they were really keen to make sure that there wasn't a massive cost increase to anything that they were looking to offer in terms of health insurance. And we know the market's moved dramatically in cost recently.
Well, it's great to see that some employers are starting to see the signs, see the road signs, and to stretch my analogy a bit further.
Indeed. So what should employers be doing to adapt? We've thought of 5 recommendations, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Right, so let's have a think. So the first one then, to really review what your workforce actually looks like now. So not designing reward based on old assumptions. Look at how many people are hybrid, part-time, shift-based, remote, compressed hours, flexible arrangements. Start with the data. And I go further than that and seek to understand if your current people would like to work differently. So, you're not just reflecting where people are now, but are there any trends that suggest you could attract even better talent if you offered something more flexible?
No, brilliant point. And I guess secondly then, test whether your reward approach is still fair across the different working patterns and the different flexibility. Are bonuses, pay reviews, recognition and career progression working equally well for everyone? Or are they accidentally favouring the people with the most visibility or the most traditional working patterns?
That's a really interesting one, and it probably should be part of people's gender pay action planning, or at least the analysis that they do to try and understand some of that stuff. Yeah, and also broaden the definition of reward. And obviously pays the big number, and it matters, of course it does, it pays the bills. But often employees will weigh flexibility, well-being, support, annual leave, development, the quality of the manager they have, as all part of the reward offer. And sometimes flexibility can be worth a whole chunk of cash.
And I guess linking back to that first point, Victoria, segment your reward thinking as well. Not every group values the same thing in the same way. For example, early career employees may care more about development and progression. Working parents may place more importance on, or more value on, flexibility and predictability. Shift workers may care more deeply about, say, rota fairness and premium pay. A really good reward strategy recognises these differences. We've talked about, for example, what Gen Alpha wants in an earlier podcast.
Absolutely. It's ever changing, isn't it? You can't just do this and never do it again. The strategy needs to evolve. And I think the fifth one would be communication. Communicate more clearly. If working patterns are varied, people need really clear expectations and explanations of how reward decisions are made. So being explicit about eligibility, pay principles, bonus criteria, how part-time or flexible working impacts on outcomes. Just don't assume people understand it.
No, that's a good point. And obviously one of my passion subjects as well. Communication becomes even more important when employee experiences are less uniform or less standardized. If people don't understand how reward works, there is unfortunately far more of a risk that they assume it isn't fair. We often say that if you had limited money to spend on benefits, we would spend it on excellent communication of what we already have. Maybe, spending it on new shiny tools to be able to communicate really effectively, not necessarily spending it on adding to the benefits.
Yeah. Another app to put on my phone. So fairness, actually, that's a really interesting word here, isn't it? Because employees don't always mean identical treatment, the same treatment. Often what they really want is consistency, logic, and a sort of sense that the employer, the business, understands the reality of their working lives.
Yeah, so what does that really mean for us, for reward and HR people, and what should we actually do?
It might mean redesigning bonus schemes so they're based on outcomes rather than presence. It might mean ensuring part-time staff are not unintentionally disadvantaged in progression or recognition. It might mean offering more choice in benefits. It might mean making rota design, shift premiums, flexible working arrangements part of the sort of broader reward conversation.
And some employers, I guess it's about challenging those quite long-held beliefs, like, for example, whether presenteeism is still being rewarded, even if it's indirectly.
100%, that's a really big one. Reward should reinforce the behaviours and outcomes that matter most, and not simply being seen to be available all the time is a good thing. It isn't.
So, if we were to sum up then, the message to employers is work patterns have changed. That's not in dispute. So reward needs to change too.
Precisely. The organisations that do it well are going to be the ones that treat reward as part of the whole employee experience, not just a pay review exercise, because they'll be the ones who are more able to attract the people they want, to keep them engaged and build a stronger sense of trust.
Good point. And if your organisation is noticing that employees are asking, different questions about pay, flexibility and fairness than they perhaps used to, it's not a problem to ignore. It's a signal that your reward approach may need to evolve.
Definitely. And if you'd like help reviewing whether your reward offer still fits the way your people actually work, we will be very happy to support you.
Thank you. You can reach us at Reward Solutions, all one word, at rewardheads.co.uk, and we'd be absolutely delighted to help.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening to Getting Our Reward Heads Together. brought to you by Reward Heads. As we said at the start, we're a boutique reward consultancy working with organisations across the UK and beyond to help HR and reward leaders design fair, engaging and effective reward frameworks and solutions, from pay to benefits to recognition and governance. Every solution we create is bespoke. You know, as we sort of said in the podcast, everybody is different, and all of our clients are different, and it's therefore built around each client's unique goals and challenges. And we also offer coaching, resourcing and trusted forums to keep you connected to the latest reward trends. So if we can support your reward journey, we would love to hear from you. Do subscribe to hear future episodes, and do reach out, as Jannine said, on rewardsolutions@rewardheads.co.uk if we can help.